everybody. My name is Pankaj Athawale, and I would like to request and welcome my friend Chandresh Narayanan, who is there right now with us. Today it will be very interesting because we have two hosts, me and Chandresh, and we also have two experts here with us, and we'd like to talk about a very important or certain areas that we have been asked to speak about, and that is the sports ecosystem. Yes, so friends, we will be talking about the sports ecosystem as such and what are the opportunities because all of you all have logged in here with a particular purpose of knowing how big is this whole sports industry going on. Good evening, everyone, once again, and we hope that we'll be able to kind of answer all your questions. So what we are going to do is we'll give you a brief roundup of all things that are going on around in the world of sports, and then we will try and kind of answer your questions. Your questions, of course, will be answered. So, first of all, friends, me and Chandresh go a long way. Just to quickly tell about us, we are both broadcasters, and we have been in the sports sector for about 22 years. Chandresh has also been a part of the ICC, and he's been part of leading publishing agencies as a journalist, a media manager for a couple of IPL teams, and he has a very, very strong network out in the field of cricket. I am a broadcaster and I'm also an archery coach. I do specialize in a lot of organizations, work and associations all across the country. So what we're going to kind of talk today is what are the opportunities. Chandresh, would we kind of first talk about the ecosystem? In the past 20 years, today now we are in 2023, considering the situation in 2000, how do you think that the entire sports ecosystem overall has really gone up?
Thanks a lot, Pankaj. I think that first of all, we must say, put it on record that when we started and what it is right now, there's a huge sea change in the whole ecosystem for sports in India, and to the large extent, I think credit should go to the fact that the IPL came about around 2007, 2008. What that did was that it brought in a number of sports professionals, sports management professionals into the system, and then they started transferring their knowledge onto other leagues and other tournaments that happen in India. And what that also did was give rise to new projects, new concepts, new IPs, and more unique IPs started getting created in India. And I think from that on, I think that's the inflection point, in my view, in the last 15, 20 years, where the sport changed. I think the 90s saw the opening up of the economy. 90s saw influx of money in sports. The 90s saw a lot of important changes in Indian economy, which led to the growth of the Indian sporting millionaire, who then became a billionaire and is now staring at possibly even reaching that billionaire tag.
Absolutely. Chandresh, talking about the explosion of this entire sports economy. I mean, you spoke about the IPL coming up in 2008. Also, the fact that today the Hockey World Cup is being held in India back to back. The state of Odisha is the sponsor. Now, earlier we used to only expect that a private company would be sponsoring some team or some national team. Today, the state of Odisha has set up an example where even public money can be used to sponsor a national team. They have come up with the world's largest stadium in Rourkela. Things are happening. So even from the other sports perspective, it has been a sensational thing. Also, the performances of the Indians and the athletes in other sports has really gone up. So do you think that it is a kind of a doubling up? Cricket mein to hai hi hai, but all the other sports are also looking forward to professionals who can actually do a lot of detailed work.
I think you made a very good point about the state of Odisha, because I think it's a unique concept. And what it also underlines is that there is at least now two sports that's dependent on India. One is cricket and the other is hockey. So these two sports are completely, wholly and solely dependent on India. So all of us on this call need to be proud of that fact.
Absolutely.
That we are driving these two sports, which was till yesterday or till just about 15, 20 years ago, a distant dream. And I think we didn't realize our potential. On field, we may still not have realized our potential, which I completely understand. But off the field, I think we have managed to tell the whole world that here we are, 1.3 or 1.4 billion people, we control the fortunes directly or indirectly of these two sports, and I think it's a major achievement in that sense. So I think the fact that the state of Odisha has come forward and decided to support these two sports, especially hockey, is a big important message to the sporting ecosystem in India, and it also tells you that even though I'm not in favor of government being in sport,
Correct.
but if they are in sport in this way, it makes more sense than being in any other way, if you get my point.
Yes, and Chandresh, you made a very interesting point, which leads me to the next discussion. That today's sports can't just be looked at from a government support perspective. Now we have the schools, the colleges, the universities, the government, the state championships, the national championships, and the others. But you mentioned something about the IPL. We have the ISL now. We have the Pro Kabaddi, which is extremely popular, and taking sport to urban markets. So do you see that there are two types of consumers? The consumers for sports have actually gone up. Those who kind of you and me who play, who like, who understand, and the others who also follow that sport. But to cater to this entire market, we need more and more people, because of which now, in fact, even the budgetary allocation of the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports has gone up to over about 3,300 crores, which makes a point here that where will these professionals come from?
Absolutely. These professionals will come from the parents and the students who are joined us on this webinar right now. And I think that there is a lot of potential. And you spoke a lot about the IPL. I think what the IPL did was it showed a way forward to the other sports that if you bring in, for want of a better word, the Americanization of sports, I think it would lead to a new ecosystem being created, new opportunities being created for sports management professionals. And we saw that with the IPL, then it moved to wrestling, kabaddi,
Right. Badminton,
boxing, badminton, uh, volleyball is going on right now.
yes.
Football is going on. Hockey had 2 failed attempts.
वॉलीबॉल
That was
कबड्डी
Yeah,
हाँ, बिल्कुल कबड्डी तो तलहा भाई हमने बात की इसके बारे में, लेकिन वी आल्सो हैव टेनिस फॉर दैट मैटर, टेबल टेनिस फॉर दैट मैटर.
yeah, table tennis. Tennis had two different leagues happening at the same time. So what this did was it showed that there is an appetite, and it brought in newer concepts, even in sports which are not traditionally team-based sports. So newer concepts like in tennis came in badminton came in other sports came in, boxing, in wrestling, and so on and so forth. So we sort of developed those kind of leagues. Pankaj, what we now need is that the Americans have these leagues, but they also have a solid foundation with the college and school sports supporting and being a feeder line for
Exactly.
at the highest level. What we lack in India right now is that feeder system, which needs to provide the continuous talent. And those events at the college and school level also need to be organized at the same standard as the events at the highest level. And I think that's where we are headed for right now.
And that is where, Chandresh, a very interesting point that you have made, that people also have gathered in this particular meet will be needed. For example, the Khelo India is an example of how, the youngsters, their events, their tournaments can be held. But friends, do you know the kind of background or the kind of people that are needed behind the scenes to execute something like a Khelo India? So sports management, sports associations, sports franchises need people like us who can actually contribute in multiple departments. In fact, me and Chandresh have been doing a lot of broadcasting together. So just imagine, friends, that on a given day, we are covering the Australian Open. On the same day, we are also covering the India versus the New Zealand T20. On the same day, we are also covering the Hockey World Cup finals. On the same day, we are also covering the South Africa, Australia, ODI. Something is happening. So 5 or 10 events are happening at a time in a given day, and all of them are being broadcasted on different mediums, radio, television, online, digital. So it all requires people. And today, organizations, the sports organizations are looking forward to people who can actually have skills to execute. Chandresh, do you think that this demand and supply thing is something which is now we have to kind of address, wherein the sports organizations want to do something professionally, they don't know where to go. We are here who have the skills professionally for sports, and we don't know whom to approach. Is that something of a gap?
There is a gap, and I think that this gap can be easily uh, breached. And I think that you will see going forward more and more professionals being involved in executing events, because uh, gone are the days where you could depend on your relatives and friends and support from others to get events off the ground, which used to be the case
Yes,
in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and even 90s. The thing is that and that was the legacy of the socialistic background that we had.
correct.
We inherited a socialist system where we felt that sport is a pastime. And it also was the name of a magazine at one point, Sport and Pastime. So I think that sport is no longer a pastime. Sport is a full-fledged career option, not just for those playing, even more so for those who are playing, who are working off the field.
Right.
And I think that we need to realize as a group right here on this webinar is that we are looking at two Team Indias. One which is on the field, which is very important.
Right.
And we expect them to be professional, cutthroat, razor sharp, competitive, and everything. The Team India off the field is, I think, even more important. And I think even more than that, I think that what you need to do is that the Team India off the field needs to be ready, because what that will do is that it will ensure that the sporting ecosystem grows. It's only if the sports persons on the field continue to perform that we as an ecosystem will survive off the field. And what Pankaj and I definitely mean is that it doesn't matter if you have played sport or if you have not played sport. What sports management needs is logical reasoning, logical understanding, being
Problem solving.
practical, and being able to solve problems. That's a
Exactly.
key thing. That's a key thing. You need to be able to solve problems, manage time, and for this, you don't need to be necessarily a top flight
Absolutely.
sports person.
Right.
You can be a logical person, and by that, I don't mean at all what Pankaj and I have been through as a school child, being in a competitive race to be first in a class or score 85 or 90 out of 100. No, it's about being logical, practical, and reasonable, and being able to maintain our calm in tough situations.
Exactly. Chandresh, very interesting point. So, guys, we need to have a very good network and understanding of the ground situation and have problem solving abilities. This is what the sports industry is expecting from all of us. Can we do that? Can we work ahead? Now, Chandresh, you made a very valid point about the growth of this particular market and India off the field. Do you think there are two major categories, and I like to highlight them? First is, of course, the women. I mean, if you look at the Olympic results for India, it is the women who have always led the charge for India, right from Karna Malleshwari all the way to the Sainas and the Mary Coms and the Rani Rampals and the Chanus and the Borgohains. So women in sports, their participation is good. But, there are so many more women coming now with the women IPL coming up. So many avenues grow. So do you think that the girls, the ladies need to be more proactive in getting into this particular sector?
Absolutely. And I wouldn't say just women. I think that
Everyone, yeah.
and yeah, everyone. And I think that gone are the days where we would look at sports as just as a filler to get a job somewhere.
Yeah.
It's a full-fledged profession. You and I are living examples of that. It's a full-fledged profession. We are juggling 3 or 4 things happening at the same time right now. And I think that it's a full-fledged profession. We need to make the most of it. And we need to be able to own this space that has been created. We need to be proud of the fact that we have managed to create an ecosystem which didn't exist till about 50
Exactly.
years ago. And I think that this is a full-fledged opportunity for kids to learn, to become event managers, to become team managers, media managers, logistics managers, become CEOs, CEOs. The world is your oyster right now. I think that a lot can be achieved. and in the future you will have a lot more opportunities for everyone. And I think that what it did was, I think to a large extent, and I keep harping on this socialist background. It started off with a socialist background where you considered making money as a crime,
Right.
and making money from sport was considered to be a bigger crime. And I think that now, when you see that money can be made from sports, not just for the sports persons, but people working in the sports ecosystem, it's still, we need to unlearn a lot of things. And that's where this is very important. And I encourage every one of the parents, student, whoever it is, to come join this revolution that's happening in India right now. It's already happened.
Exactly.
We're all part of the revolution silently, and we didn't even realize it.
And also the fact what Chandresh mentioned is that the money is coming in. We are also, via sports, via performing, via working for sports, we are also contributing a lot to the economy of the country, which is seldom the case where sports is actually contributing. So that's the reason why, friends, we need to understand. You're from a finance background, you're from the commerce, science background, from the arts background. Sports is the place where your skills are needed, but more so, your problem-solving ability is needed. But one thing which we would also like to kind of help you understand is that the spectrum of sports and the work will be really very high. So at one end, you also have the kabaddis and the khokos and the pro kabaddis, and even in local tournament at the grassroots level for a wrestling match, where 1 lakh people come and watch that match, is also as big as something like an IPL or a big international match that is happening. This entire spectrum is the place where we all are expected to kind of get in. Now, Chandresh, also the fact is the newer sports that have come up. We had the traditional indigenous sports. Today, Kalaripayattu and yoga are also sport at the national games at Kelo India. They need a lot of support like from people like us. Also, the fact is games like the esports, which have become medal sports at the Asian Games and other events because of the digital revolution, create furthermore exponential opportunity.
Absolutely. Esports is something that is just going to, I think it's already here, it's just going to revolutionize the whole ecosystem even further. The kind of lingo the guys involved in esports speak, I don't even understand
Yeah.
at times. I need to actually ask them to dumb it down for me, because it's at a different level altogether. And I think the esports, it will involve a lot of time in front of screens, I suppose. But it's an event. It's something that brings a lot of joy to the younger audience. I don't know whether it's Gen Z, Gen Y, whatever you may call it. And I think it's just going to explode further. And I think what you're going to see from esports is something that it will take us a long time for you and I, Pankaj,
Yes,
especially
yes.
to get into it. I think that that's what's going to happen. I predict that with data getting cheaper and cheaper, the access to sport is going to get that much easier,
Right.
which means that interest in sport is going to be that much more, which means that the average consumer moves from the urban to the semi-urban to the rural to the hinterland, and that is where the whole new revolution is going to come. Till now, the revolution that we have seen is only, I think, 40% of what India as a sporting nation is capable of. Right now, we are at the cusp of a major breakthrough.
And that's the reason why we need to catch this flight as it is taking off. And Chandresh, you spoke about data getting cheaper. That brings about technology into the picture. Today, technology is being used in most of the sports, almost everywhere, right from the VAR to the DRS to the ball tracking to kabaddi to everywhere. And technology savvy students will also be expected to kind of fill in. Even friends, if you have a very, very good what do you call background in mathematics, you are expected, because today the entire fantasy gaming entire thing is based on mathematics. So it doesn't matter whichever stream you come from. If you come from the law sector, there is so much of work available as far as the contractual agreements and stuff like that needs to be made. The compliance is the due diligence. You come from a finance background, there is a lot of work for you. But as Chandresh said, we need that problem solving ability and the sport of your liking that we need to kind of work ahead. But Chandresh, considering the issues that we are looking at, uh, how do we kind of now realize the work that we need to do? For example, cricket as per the sports federation and cricket per se, the IPL, because we have been involved in both of them. We do leagues, we also do international commitments, but the common factor is cricket. And I've seen a lot of people getting confused in these two different products with a common denominator called cricket.
Yeah, I think that we need to understand that cricket as a product has grown, and IPL has really taken off. And now with the Women's Premier League coming in, both these leagues are going to like take over this sport like never before.
Right.
And I feel that in the coming 5 years, you could have a situation where a David Warner or a Steve Smith, wouldn't say Steve Smith, like say a Jofra Archer or a
Yeah.
Joss Butler, could well be spotted at a Starbucks in Mumbai, at Bandra or some place like that. So this could well be the place where, say, a cricketer is residing for 6 to 8 months at a stretch, and it could well become the football model, where you have footballers staying in Madrid and London and Paris and so on and so forth. You could have the same thing with cricket, where cricketers opting to stay in Bombay or in Bangalore and trying to make their life out here because they'll be spending close to 6 to 8 months here. And this is just a start just for cricket. In the men's format, it could be even bigger achievement now in the women's, with the kind of money that has been spent on buying the women's players, and also spent on buying the teams in the Women's Premier League. So I think that in the coming months or coming years, I see cricket really taking off further in India. And I think that a big thing could be the fact that these cricketers could be right here. Who knows, we may even call them to the IISM campus and ask them to share their experiences with our future students. So don't be surprised if you bump into a Butler or a Chris Gale or someone like that, because they'll be spending close to 6 to 8 months in India. And you'll know what better than spending time with the future students who might work with them in the IPL.
Yes, absolutely. This is about cricket. This also further expands to sports like, now currently there's a four-nation hockey tournament happening in Rourkela. The Indian under-20 girls are playing an international football match against Nepal. There are so many other things that are constantly happening. The Ranji is happening. The state, for example, in Kakinada in Andhra Pradesh, currently the senior national women's hockey matches are going on. So it is simply unbelievable. And by the way, friends, all of them are broadcasted either on YouTube or some OTT platform or somewhere. The problem is we don't know that they are being broadcasted. So just realize the kind of exponential growth that is coming in. Now, if you look at the broadcasting or the media industry, there are at least 20, 25 different verticals where you can actually get into, where work is needed. Logistics, operations, everything, vendors. In fact, you can also get into a lot of apparel design, apparel trading, equipment trading. Chandresh, before we take questions, how do you think is the big market as far as the equipment, the sports equipment market is concerned?
Yeah, as more and more people want to get into sports, want to play sports, equipments will become necessary. More and more kids will want to get access to equipments. Merchandise is expected to take off in the coming years. Sporting merchandise, whether it is replica or whether it is original, whatever it is, more and more big companies are involved. Sporting apparels are involving sporting superstars in India for endorsements and getting them to endorse products. So I think that you spoke about design, logo design, merchandising, apparels, equipments. It's just going to take off, I think, in the coming years.
Absolutely. So, friends, I hope me and Chandresh have been able to kind of give you a very, very kind of a important kind of an area or an exposure in a nutshell, because sports is so huge that actually we can go talking about all throughout the day. But what I would now request is, if you have any questions, if you have any queries, you can probably send it to our team and they can put it us in the chat and we'll try and explain them. Because, sports management, sports is a very, very vast market, and you need to kind of pick up your liking, your vertical, and then start building on that. And the spectrum of working in sports, as I said, is absolutely from the grassroots level till the top, and we can go ahead. Okay, Karan, do we take, because we have Aman Sharma who has raised the hand. Yes, Aman, what's the question?
Sir, my question is, I am the B pharmacy student and I am in third year. Sir, can I join sports as a sports pharmacist? How can I join
बिल्कुल
sports pharmacist? And
अमन NADA WADA डोपिंग इतना सारा आपके पास ऑप्शंस अवेलेबल है चंद्रेश आई थिंक फ्रॉम अ फार्मेसी बैकग्राउंड वी डोंट हैव अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल कमिंग इन बट देयर इज अ बिग नीड इन दैट
Absolutely, and sports science is also a course at IISM. I
यस
think that's a big achievement. IISM offers bachelor and masters in sports management and sports science in collaboration with Mumbai University. So, Aman, please do look up and please do sign up for that, because I think that's the next big thing. Because as the competition increases, more and more you need to be seen to be compliant at the global
Exactly.
level with all kinds of sporting regulations.
Religion, yeah.
Very, very important question that you asked us. There's a question here from Greenwich.
Ah.
Do you think AI can affect sports industry? It definitely will affect sports journalism. I know for a fact that if Chat GPT takes over sports journalism, it will definitely affect sports journalism.
Yes, but it will affect a lot in terms of the consumption, how you consume sports and how the fans would like to. AI can give them a different real-time take. So technology is something that is very important, and then AI comes to the picture. We have Marvel on a strike. Do you have to leave college after 12th if you join sports management? I think Marvel, there are two type of courses that are available, that the undergrad, then after the 12th, and you also have opportunities after to do the masters after your graduation. So it's up to you whether you want to do it after 12th or in the masters. Mohammed says, can arts group students take up sports science or science background is needed? Mohammed, I think sports, you need a science background, but with an arts background, you can do so many other things that can be done. But if you, there will be, what do you call, specific migration clauses from the university for arts to come into science, which can be taken up. Vaishnavi is saying, how much money can an average person make?
Vaishnavi, sky is the limit.
Yes.
Sky is the limit.
But you need to have that skill, develop that skill. You can't say, I've done a course and I'm going to get. You need to have those skills. We will be honing those skills for you. But I think they should not be looking at money straight away, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The money should be the last thing. But it's easier said than done for us at this age. Greenwich asks, what is necessary to get into broadcasting? Presence of mind.
Yeah.
Knowledge. Knowledge. And also, Saumapriyo Chatterjee says, I'm a student of class 10 passing out this year. I play 5 sports and have a knack towards analysis and coaching. I often study a match analysis of football. As a player and an aspiring coach, what are my opportunities in the sporting ecosystem? You can, Saumapriyo, Pankaj, feel free to jump in. You can become an analyst, sports analyst, team analyst. You can get into coaching. You can become part of the analytics team, because most leagues now involve analytics in their discussions.
Right.
And so I think you can do that. There are lots of different areas within team sport that you can get involved in.
Yeah, in fact, so I do a lot of video analysis for hockey, and I also am an archery coach. So it's not just cricket, it's pan sports that you can get in, so no problem with that. Rachna says, what about the future of upcoming sports like yoga and Kalaripayattu too? Very, very big, because the government is giving a big boost, Rachna, to the indigenous sports, and now they have now been involved in Khelo India. Don't be surprised that they'll be there in the national games, and very soon, don't be surprised if they're also in the Asian games. So be prepared.
Is there any age limit to get into sports industry? No.
No.
No age limit in sports industry. Playing, yes, but this no. Serena Kadivar, how much does a fresher earn in this field? If you're good enough, Serena, it depends from the job to job.
Correct.
We start off at about 15,000-20,000 to go to any high.
Yes. Vaishnavi, I think admission cycles, they will be told to you by our counselors. Serena is saying, how much does the pressure? Okay, Aryan says, okay, kahan gaya Aryan ka question?
What is meant by sports agent? Sports agent is somebody who manages talent, a sports talent. That person's a sports, so that agent, and that is also something that you can do. You can front a particular talent at the end of the engagement that you have, and you can deal on behalf of the player, deal with brands, deal with corporates, deal with projects, deal with various things on behalf of the agent. Do you think more leagues will get into the future? Greenwich? Yes, I think they will.
Yeah. And Renuka is looking forward for an answer from you and me, Chandresh. How does a day look like? Renuka, we are working 18 hours a day for the past 2 months, and we are booked till the month of October for the same. November, yeah. And we are enjoying and we are working hard. But the point is, Renuka, good point you have made. Guys, when you come into the sports industry, be there to work hard and don't think it's a 9 to 5 job and end of the story. It's the thrill that you're coming in for and it's the income that you're coming in for. So you will have to work hard and long hours.
Serena Kadiwar asks how to land big jobs in big companies. Serena, just like any other field, just be prepared to do. Don't promise too much.
Yeah.
Don't under-deliver. So always remember one thing. Always promise less and deliver more.
Deliver more.
Yes.
Very good.
If I have a non-IT background, can I still get into sports analytics? Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
No problem at all. Aman Sharma says he prefer my B Farm. Sports pharmacist करके कोई ऐसा.
There is nothing called a sports pharmacist. We just explained to you.
Yeah, sports science.
Mohammed Dayan says, can I become a coach by becoming by studying sports management? You can become like, what do I say, head of a high performance center, which is like an academy, but not necessarily a coach.
So for a coach, Mohammed, you will have, so the coaching certificate is always given by the respective sports federation. So I got my archery coaching certificate from the Archery Association of India. So the association will give you that certificate. But as Chandresh says, that the coaching team requires a lot of people out there. So are you looking to coach people directly, or you want to kind of be the part of the support staff? You'll have to decide and work according.
Dixita Patel says, how about tennis career in India, as my daughter is getting into tennis? Tennis as a profession, as a player, there's definitely a lot of scope. There's a lot of things happening, various coaching schemes happening across the country. But this is specifically a management course.
Correct.
And not a playing course. If you're looking to do work in tennis, yes, there's a lot of potential.
Lot of scope.
You're looking to play tennis, there's a lot of potential, but that's a different thing altogether. Can we do sports management with college together? Marvel's on a strike. I guess it's a full-time course.
Yeah.
Proper degree course, my friend. Any certificate for today's webinar, probably you can ask the counselor who will be able to tell us. What do you think about boxing in India and its future? I think personally, massive potential. Massive potential. We have a number of Cuban coaches who've been training Indian boxers for over the years. And we have a lot of heroes to look up to.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And I think we'll see a couple of more questions, Chandresh. I think, we are also going to start our broadcast.
Yeah.
What your agents mean connection with respective teams? Yes, you're making contracts, Aryan. You're creating, scouting players and getting them to different clubs, teams who need them. So that's the kind of the agent work. Serena says, what if you don't get job despite investing so much? Serena, I think this particular course, or any course for that matter, is for upgrading your skills. There is a lot of work out there. Please let me tell you, all of y'all, that the demand for professionals is so high. But then the point is, as Chandresh said, are you able to deliver? You need to learn to deliver. You need to improve your skills and accordingly work. So it's not that you do the course, you don't get a job. I think that should not be the outlook. Have a very positive outlook because you are in the sports background. And Monojit says, what is the future of swimming? Swimming has a very great opportunity in India, no doubt about it. But again, from the science perspective and from the player perspective or from the sponsors perspective, a big scope. Nitin, you can connect our counseling team and they'll help you with all the details. And Moksh says, can I be an analyst? Yes, you can be an analyst, but you need to work accordingly for that. Which sport, what sort of data compilation, what you're looking at is something what you need to understand. And so many questions. I think, Chandresh, what we can request is that...
if we can request the counselor to just send us through the questions, we can probably get together sometime and all these questions individually.
Yes, Vaishnavi, you are a boxer. Yes, you can continue your training if the college is going on. There's no problem with that. Handball also has terrific scope. And I think the questions are going to keep on pouring. But friends, we'll have to wind up here because we are going to start our broadcast very soon. And what I would request all of you is that please send your questions to our counseling team. They will kind of make a list of that and we will try and answer all of them and send them back to you. Great. Thank you so much, friends, for being a part of this webinar. Chandresh, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Yes, and thank you, friends. And whatever you need, please contact our email, that is admissions@iismworld.in. You can send in your questions. And guys, thank you so much for being a part of today. So let's get in this sports world and rock it. Let's go for the drill. Thank you so much.